Hello everybody, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candace Marie. Thank you for joining me. It's Friday night. We are here doing our live weekly readings. Welcome to those of you guys who are new to my channel, those of you guys who are waiting in the chat, those of you guys who are subscribed, and those of you guys who support the channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is my weekly kind of check-in that I do on Friday nights where I do readings live. I alternate. One week is going to be astrology, one week is going to be tarot. So welcome back. We've got some people in the chat. We've got some actual supporters of the chat that are of the channel that are in. Thank you guys for joining me. If you guys are not aware, every week, every Monday, I do a video that's about the astrology for the week ahead. I give you guys insights into what's coming. And then also on Fridays, I check in and I do these live readings for those of you guys who want to get a feel for my reading style. Maybe you want to learn more about tarot or astrology, how I do readings. If you subscribe to my channel, awesome. Thank you guys so much. Hitting that like button is super helpful. That subscribe button or sharing it is also super helpful. It gets my videos into the queue for other people. And if you guys opt to support the channel, awesome. I have 3 different levels. The first is going to make it possible just to support. It's super simple to get in and really easy. It's my lowest level. Channel level number 2 for the channel is going to be about getting a shout out and support, and then level 3 is going to be a shout out, and you're going to get 1 reading a month, whether it is tarot or astrology. So those of you guys who are on level 3, you get kind of front of the line pass. I'm going to do readings for you guys first once a month. You either get a tarot spread or you're going to get a question about your transits or just something in your natal aspects. I offer that too. We're doing 1 question for $40, 1 Synastry question for $65. Check out the chat below. There's a link for the PayPal. We also accept Super Chat. So if you have that as well, we will take it. But people like Paula, Sam Norton, Catherine Murray, Emma R., Susan Wexler, Anjali, and our newest member, Jessica Martinez, thank you guys for supporting the channel. Especially people like Paula, Sam, Catherine, Anjali, and Jessica. You guys are a part of my crew who's going to get a reading. So if any of you guys are in the chat, I know some of you guys are here now, let me know if you would like to cash in on your August reading now through astrology. So this is going to be taking place in a public forum. I will be pulling up your chart publicly on the live, so please be mindful of that. You can send Super Chat or you can send it on PayPal. If you send PayPal in the memo, ask me your question. I need your name, your exact date, location, and time of birth. If you are somewhere outside of the States, if you're in Europe or other parts of the world, I need your month, day, and year, as well as your exact timing. If you don't have that right now, no worries. We will be back in 2 weeks' time and we're going to be doing that then. But I am going to be starting to kind of get into the member readings now. Hi everybody, nice to see everyone. I got a couple people who are in the PayPal queue already. It looks like I've got Paula, Danae. Please let me know if I pronounced your name incorrectly because I'm a stickler about that. And Swatz, I see all of you guys. It's nice to see you. Yes, it's Friday the 13th. So I feel like I should be watching a Halloween movie right now. I'll try to keep it spooky for you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. I see some of my members. You guys are awesome. Anjali, Jessica, welcome to the club. Sam, nice to see you. Everybody, thank you guys for tuning in. Of any of my level 3 members, anybody want to cash in on that reading now? Please let me know. Jessica, I see that you're level 3. If you would like me to answer a question for you for the month of August, we can do that. If you guys don't have any questions about your astrology, check out next week. I'm going to be here on Friday. We're going to be pulling some tarot cards. We're going to do a tarot reading. And this is awesome because, you know, doing the live, it makes it so, like, such a great forum to be able to teach astrology as well. So there are some people who check in, they're just kind of getting a vibe for the channel, they're feeling it out, and they're gonna see how I read charts. So if you are learning astrology, this can be a fun place to spend your Friday nights just to kind of get some insight, especially if you have the same like sun, moon, or rising, especially the rising as other people. It can be really insightful to kind of hear my perspectives on what's coming for you. Just so you guys know, supporting this channel makes it possible for me to do more. I am coming and doing this every Friday night. I'm also working every Monday morning to put out a a live cast for you guys to kind of give you some insight the week ahead. Right now I'm in the midst of making free time to create new kind of like educational videos. I'm doing some stuff on what's coming with America's chart this week. I'm also doing some stuff on cryptocurrency because I find that's very interesting, kind of merging that with astrology. By supporting my channel, you make it possible for me to continue my studies, afford lights, cameras, mics, all kinds of things to make it possible for me to come here more consistently. So if you like my work, you want to support the channel, I really appreciate it. You make it possible for me to be able to come on here more often. If you're not aware, I also do a podcast with Mike the Peace Dealer every Monday morning. You're gonna see a new episode that's coming out. We have an episode that's out on Virgo season right now. If you subscribe to that channel and you support that channel, you're gonna get it early. So the next video that's coming out is actually gonna be all about America's chart. Mike and I are gonna dive into that this next Monday. So be sure that you're following the Midheaven podcast so you can get some insight into that. We always have funny stuff that's coming out. It's a little bit more relaxed than some of the stuff that I do in my channel, but it's fun. We have a couple drinks. We talk about what's going on in the world and the astrology, and it's less stuffy than a lot of the astrology podcasts that you see out there, but it's a little bit more serious than just the rest of the bullshit that's on the interweb. So maybe you have found my channel through Mike. If you did, awesome. If you're looking for something that's a little bit more kind of relaxed and fun and open-minded and optimistic, you know, the world needs more like laughter right now. So it's been a really great project to work on him with that. And I'm super stoked. We've got stuff coming out about America's chart, and then I'm going to come in and do a spin-off where I go more in depth into that. And then we're also going to be talking about twin flames pretty soon. So thank you guys, everybody in the chat. Nice to see you. Hi, Sam. Okay, so let me maneuver some things around here. Give me just a second so I can make the screen bigger so I can see everybody's stuff. Okay, so let me scroll up. Jessica Martinez, we are going to start with you. Sam, let me know if you also want me to look at your chart. I can look at your chart. Anjali, okay, so we're going to do Jessica, Anjali, Sam, let me know. And then I'm going to pop over to PayPal. If you send me a PayPal, just let me know if your name is different than your PayPal. Don't worry, you're going to be in the queue. So once you send it, just let me know, and I'm going to go in order. All right, so let's see. Thank you, Hades. That's awesome. Thank you for joining and supporting the channel. Let's go ahead and start with who we've got first. So Jessica Martinez, we can do Anjali. So just in order, it'll be Jessica, Anjali, Sam. If you went in there, we can get you in next. Most definitely my teacher. Well, there's classes coming, guys. I'm trying to find the time. I'm like constantly booked like 2 to 3 months at a time. So I'm like super busy, but I'm taking the time at the end of this year to kind of wind down and really start creating space so I can start doing like some study groups. My goal is to start teaching astrology and teaching tarot. So if you like that, thumbs up, let me know. Give me a comment if you're interested in that stuff. If there's something that you want to learn, I'm super down to do that. I really want to start teaching people who just want to learn more about astrology. I don't want to like farm out a bunch of astrologers. I just want to teach people to really fall in love with astrology, to utilize it, to use it the best way, to do it ethically. And the same for tarot as well. Mike is my future husband. He just doesn't know it yet. Mike's got a lot of people that are in line, so take a number. I kind of feel like I want to set him up with somebody. I want to get like Mike like married. He's having like a lot of like 7th house, 10th house transits. So I'm super into doing that. Okay, so I'm getting off topic. Let me scroll up. Okay, so for Jessica Martinez, message from my greatest good. So we've got you 11:29. I'm working on my cell phone today. I didn't charge my iPad, sorry. Okay, so 11:29. And that's gonna be 1985. Santa Ana, California. How are those winds? Are you still out there? It's windy out there. 1985. And that's at 6:48 p.m. Okay, so let's get your chart up in a second. Is he gonna give it to me? Let's see. Okay, live readings. Give me 1 second. Can you just confirm and just let me know if you, Jessica, if you've looked at your chart, do you have a Cancer rising? I just want to make sure you can see this. You're in Houston now, don't miss the winds. Okay. Love the Texas rainstorms. I was in Texas this spring. There was definitely a lot of rain going on. So let me know, because I want to make sure that I have the right information here. But I've got you as a Cancer rising, and then your sun is in Sag, and your moon is in Cancer in the 12th house. Just confirm and let me know. So I want to make sure I have the right information before we move forward. Yes. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So let's get into that. All right. So here's your chart. You can take a look at this. All right, so you're just wanting to know what's going on, what's best for your highest good. Let's pull up your info here, going back in time. A message for your highest good. Okay, Cancer rising. So here's the deal. Sun's moving through your 2nd house. We've got Venus moving through your 4th house. I mean, you're a Cancer rising, so we always want to be looking at what's going on with the moon and what's been happening with the moon. To me, it seems like with Mars and Mercury moving through Virgo in your 3rd house, it's forming positive aspects and sextiles to your moon. So it has you feeling more communicative, more open, a little bit more specific in how you communicate, express yourself, especially pertaining to how you feel, getting down to details, expressing yourself to siblings, to friends, being more open to changeability in where you're living or what you're learning. Stuff that also pertains to like transportation, whether this is your car, where you're going. Change seems to be the theme. And the sun is coming into the 3rd house here soon as well. So it's like, how can I communicate more so in terms of what I value? That seems to be really important. It's coming and like rubbing up on your planets that you have in Sagittarius in the 6th. So it's a lot of like wanting to perfect and communicate what you think, or wanting to perfect and get clear about your schedule, how you spend your time. A lot of people who have stelliums that are happening in their 6th house right now in Sag are realizing with these planets in Virgo that in order to perfect their day-to-day routine, they need to communicate. They need an app. They need like a digital calendar. Sometimes it's about perfecting and making changes to what they know when it comes to their work and their day-to-day routine. There can be something that can come into your life that makes it easier for you to be able to communicate, makes it easier for you to schedule things, and just being more open, right? So squares are never fun, but they definitely bring about the energy of change and actually pushing you into another direction. So when I see this focus on your 3rd house ruled by the sun, squaring your 6th house, it's like getting advice about how to communicate better, getting advice about what you should be doing for work, getting advice about where you should be living, how you should be living your day-to-day life. And if you've got all that Sag, it's interesting, like, this is very similar to Sam Norton's chart. So Sam will be like, yes, I understand all of this. There is some need to communicate and express and sort and sift through your beliefs in this next month. So if you're embracing new courses and all the things that you value, awesome. I love that. I think that it'll also get you thinking about how you can be better of service. Of service to what? To yourself, right? Because it's squaring planets that you have that are personal planets in the 6th house. So it's how do I learn something new so I can be of better service? A lot of this stuff will play out at the end of the year. So whatever you're taking up now, it's to really open up into new forms of work, places of work, types of work, ways that you can help people, stuff like that. That's all going to be kind of shaping up for you closer to Sag season. Okay. So I do see that happening. I think the other thing that I would tell you is that just some things that I can see that are coming for you here pretty soon. You do have an eclipse that's coming in the fall that's in opposition to your Venus, ruler of the 5th house. So it's about challenges relating to the heart, whether it's to dating, children, who you're in love with, if you're wanting to start your own business, if you're wanting to do something that's more independent, I would pay attention to that because I think it's going to definitely start triggering some things like that for you here pretty soon. I also think that with Venus coming into a trine with Pluto from your 4th to your 10th house, it's how are family relationships changing? How is your relationship with your home life changing, with your family changing? Are you starting to open up more in terms of what you're thinking about in terms of relationships and cohabitation, where you could live, what your family life could be like? There's a lot of like medicine in Venus making a trine to Pluto right now. So I definitely think that it could be something that's very interesting for you. Be mindful also that the South Node is on the move in your 6th house right now. So the South Node is like, it's never fulfilled. It wants more. It's a bottomless pit. So as it moves through Sag and it conjuncts with your Mercury, ruler of your 4th house, and also conjuncts with Saturn, ruler of your 7th house. How are you emotionally cleaning house? How are you physically cleaning house? Are you decluttering? Do you need to get rid of things? Do you need to like detach from family members that are having health issues, having crises, having problems? Do you feel like you don't have enough space in your home? Are you really needing to clear out from the past in order to be really open to what's coming new? You had an eclipse that was conjunct your natal Mercury, ruler of the 4th. I'm wondering, is there something that's going to shift between Virgo season and the end of this year pertaining to your home, your family life, where you're living? Do you want to move, right? So being a Cancer rising and a Cancer moon, you're very, very, very sensitive, and you're very sensitive to your abode, where you live, your roots, your home base. So I kind of feel like that there are some things that are opening for you in this next year, that if you are open to making a change or a transformation into your beliefs about home and family, it starts with making those shifts emotionally. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful. Let me know. Let me know. Oh, thank you. I have something that's going to hold my phone. Although I don't know if that will work with that. Okay, that'll work. Okay, so we're going to move on to who else I have on my list. Let me know if this is helpful. I definitely know what that's all about. I'm a medicine woman, clean freak. California doesn't bother me. In Texas, I know the move and shift will happen. I'm scared. Don't be scared. A lot of the shift that's going to happen, the shift won't happen until the end of this year. I really want to reiterate this. When the Sun moves into Sag and at conjuncture Mercury, I feel like that's the completion of the eclipse that you had in Sagittarius recently. So a lot of these changes aren't going to come until the end of the year. I think it's about downsizing, decluttering, getting everything ready. So when you make that move, you can make it more efficiently. And Mercury is business. So it's how do I streamline my business in a way where I'm networking and communicating with people in different places. So as I make this segue, it's easy for me to continue my business. That's the feeling that I'm getting for you. And like, Saturn in Aquarius is going to square the nodes for the next like year and a half. So it's like people seem to think that the shutdowns or that this social limitation is going to end. It's not going to end anytime soon. I don't mean to be a pessimist, but it's like I want you guys to continue moving forward, you especially with your business, in a way that you want to create your business in the way that the world is right now. Don't anticipate everything's going to work, like open up, right? Focus more on being able to continue the way things are now. Digitally, websites, things like that. Hopefully that's helpful. Let me know. All right, so let's move. We've got Sam's here, Anjali's here, I think, Jessica Martinez, thank you. Hopefully that was helpful. So we've got Sam. Who else is here? Emma, it's nice to see you. So Anjali, Catherine, Sam, or Paula, are any of you guys here? Sam, I know you're here, so I'm going to pull your info. And Anjali, it looks like you're here as well. Sorry, guys, I'm having to scroll up because there's a lot of there's a lot of banter. Okay, so Anjali and Sam, you guys are going to go up next. Anjali, it looks like you're asking questions about your CPA license. Anjali is 31787. Let me do this so it's easier for me to see. Okay, so let me make that change. 3/17/87. I know your astrology pretty well. I know somebody who was born right around the same time. Hades, I love you too. I'm just seeing that. And that was 9:53 a.m. in Chicago. Let's see. Give me 1 second. I'm having some technical difficulties with my app. Give me just a second. Sorry, guys. Live readings. There we go. Okay, so 3/17/87. I don't know why it glitched on me. And that is 9:53 a.m. Chicago. Why is it not working? There we go. Something's going on with my internet, obviously. Okay, so let's go back to this. Just confirm if this is correct. 97, 9:53 a.m. Okay, Chicago, but you're located... Oh, Miami. Sorry, my bad. Reading too fast. There we go. Okay, Miami. So we've got you March 17th, 1987 at 9:53 a.m. So that gives you a Gemini rising, and then it looks like your sun is in Pisces and your moon is in Libra. Just confirm and let me know. Gotcha. Yeah, Port of Miami. Okay. You'd like to know about your lunar return. Okay, we can talk about that. So you don't have a specific question, just your lunar return? Okay. So let's look at your lunar return, and that is going to be in Chicago. We just spoke, didn't we? I speak to so many people. Your chart looks super familiar, so let me know, but it looks very, very, very familiar to me. It's your solar return, your lunar. There we go. 8:13. Yes. Okay. Got it. Sorry. So it looks like your lunar return was today. So those of you guys who aren't aware, your lunar return deals very specifically with when the moon comes back to where it was when you were born. It gives you some insight into what's going to happen for the month ahead. So the lunar return, similar to a solar return, it's used for predictive measures, but this is just in the immediate next lunar cycle for the next 28 days. Okay, cool. I thought it was you. All right. So we've got a Leo rising, sun in Leo in the ascendant. So we're going to focus a lot on what's going on with the sun, but we will also look at what's going on with the moon because it is a lunar return. Leo rising, Leo sun, self energy, self creativity, love, ideas, what you're doing in terms of expressing yourself. So being that you have a Leo sun and Leo rising, it's all about you. The sun is in a sextile to the moon in Libra in the 4th. So it's kind of like, how do I feel? What feels like home? Sextiles are kind of Venusian energies. They're energies that flow into each other. So when the sun supports the moon, You're more aware of your emotions and more capable of sharing your emotions. While the moon in Libra talks about a lot of changes pertaining to like past relationships, how you feel about past relationships you might be talking to or taking up with people from the past, moon in the fourth. It also makes me feel like with the moon trine Jupiter that you're open to moving and changing things around in your home. You might be more expressive about your home and your feelings. Like you might bring art into the house, you might rearrange furniture, you might have family that wants to come and visit you. There may be something like that that is happening for the month ahead. The moon in a trine to Jupiter also makes me feel like it's really opening up in terms of transformation and change. So it's, well, what does feel like home? Where do I want to be? Do I want to stay here? Do I see myself being here forever? All of that stuff. The moon also is in a loose trine to the North Node, so it's a lot of like maybe possibly entertaining the idea of having people in the home, having people come and visit you. I could see that happening. It's also in a loose trine to Saturn, so it's a lot of like, how can I do more work emotionally? How can I do more work within my physical home? Getting work done. You might be finding that you're working from home in some sense, but when we're seeing the sextile between Libra and Leo, Leo is the self, Libra is we. So it's really about getting into alignment with what you want this month, how you want to feel, where you want to live, how you perceive partnership moving forward. Been really active with furniture and old furniture, making it feel like home. Yeah, and it needs to be personal. And so, you know, the sun in Leo is also about those personal touches. You might find that lighting is important. You're bringing in more art, more creativity, your own personal style. I could also see integrating like gold mirrors and decorative things and things that are more beautiful and Venusian with the sextile to the moon in Libra, and creating a much more like inviting space. That's the kind of the feeling that I'm getting for you right now. It's definitely going to be much more inviting. So that's going to be coming up for you here pretty soon. I also feel like if you are in a situation where you're committed to staying where you've been living, then it's like definitely like, okay, this is where home is going to be, and I'm going to kind of like put my roots down, because Libra moon in the fourth is like, you know, what's going to be entertaining for people to come and visit? Like, do I have a space for people to come and visit? Can I entertain? Do I need new drinkware? Do I need to bring flowers in? Do I need to, you know, have it set up so that way I can like interact with people? Taking my time, bought grow lights and 2 lamps, adding wood. Yeah. So like the lunar return is super, super, super accurate, you know, because like the moon is like the most changeable, and it's moody, so it shifts a lot. So there's going to be a lot of changes. So I encourage you to see what works, moving things around a little bit, seeing what looks good, seeing what is definitely going to be connecting to your own personal style. And I do feel like it's about creating an atmosphere that's conducive to having people in your space, Libra. So it's like, you know, do I have space? So like if somebody wanted to come and stay, there's an empty drawer. Like if you're trying to manifest like a relationship or like a husband with these aspects, I definitely think that it can be really good for you to like clear out a part of your closet, right? Make space in a drawer, create space. So if somebody comes to stay with you, if they come to visit you, they feel comfortable. Libra moon in the fourth. Yeah, inviting more space. Yeah, so think about what would be really great for having people over and what's going to make people feel more comfortable in your space, especially because to me it seems like the moon sextile the sun is you're like, I want to create this comfortable space so like people can come over and stay over, or I can have a boyfriend here, or you know, if somebody wants to stay here for a period of time, they feel like they're at home, right? So it's about thinking about other people. Hopefully that's helpful. I hope that gave you some insight. A little chair for someone. Yeah. So it's like cool because you're creating space, and like, you know, your home is like representation of your heart, right? So if you're working on your home and you're creating space to open up that space for like a new partnership or a relationship, like you're definitely doing that this month. So I hope this helps you guys learn a little bit more about lunar and solar returns, because they're super accurate. I love using them in readings, especially when clients are like, what's in store for me for the next month? It can really confirm a lot of this stuff. Okay, cool. So it looks like we've also got, I think Anjali's here. Anjali, you have questions? Sam, I know you're here too. Oh, okay, Anjali, we got you. And then Sam, sorry if I missed you guys, please let me know. All right, so let me plug you in, Sam. 12/16/85. 12/16/85. And, oh, Sam, give me the time also if you can. And the city. I forget, I apologize. Yes, give me that info. Okay, so that is 5:33. What was the city? Dallas, Texas. That's right, I forget. Progressed moon in Scorpio is some deep shit. It depends on where it is in your chart, what house it's in. So if you want to ask me, let me know. I can pull up your info. Okay. So let's see. All right, Sam, we got your chart here. Gemini rising, all that Sag that you have in your 6th and 7th house. So let me see what you say. Question, I got a gig tomorrow. I don't... on gig, okay, I'm gonna bang. Wants to cuddle with me tomorrow. It's dangerous to ground to do so with another interested being and a companion, a lunar return. Okay, we can do that. I'll forgive you. Would you be looking at... Well, I mean, let's look at, honestly, I feel like it's more for transits because your lunar return, like you're already 3/4 of the way through and it's going to be happening tomorrow. So I would actually, let's look more at your transits. I want to see some of the stuff that you said too. Right about the connection, by the way, he's a Sag with a girlfriend. I showed him a video. I interrupted him on a date and he was so excited waiting to meet his girlfriend next week. Sleeping with him. They're swingers. Okay, so what's your question? You have questions about how to navigate that? Hey, Lucas, nice to see you. Fam Bam, a lot of it depends on the house and the placements. If you want, I'm happy. If you want to purchase a one question, I'll pull up your chart and I can tell you very specifically what that progression means. But just generally in terms like progressed moon in Scorpio can be more challenging because you're dealing with Scorpio themes. 6th house is health and wellness. So what is toxic health and diet wise? But if you compare that to your natal chart, it'll be really insightful. Okay. Nice to see you, Lucas. So Sam, I want to talk to you a little bit about like this guy who showed up from the last reading that we kind of spoke about. To me, it kind of seems as if, you know, the moon shifting into Scorpio, it's going into your 5th house. It's going to start making some aspects to your Neptune. I want you to pay attention to like what you're feeling tonight. Until the moon moves into Capricorn, because to me it seems like you're still kind of feeling some of this stuff out and trying to decipher whether or not it's gonna work for you, okay? I feel like I'm giving too much of myself away for all this stuff. It would be best to just stay home and see what happens with the gig. Please, suddenly severely insecure. You know, here's the feeling that I get with this guy. Like, you're going to have Mercury go retrograde in Libra. And so technically that is your 5th house. So the 5th house dropping into your 4th house is a lot of like, is he in a serious relationship with this other person? Is this like a thing? Like, is it going to pan out? Like, that's the question that I would have. Keep in mind that Saturn is still into a square with your nodes. So being that Saturn is in your 8th house, you know, making a square to Pluto in your 5th is almost like this delay. And it can also be like sexual delays. Like, oh, I don't know if I want to sleep with somebody. Like, I'm down to like have partnership, but like about the intimacy idea, I don't know if I feel comfortable doing that. And certainly like Saturn in the 8th coming into a square with like Pluto in the nodes in the 5th is, you know, are you overstepping your boundaries with other people and questioning whether or not other people are being forthcoming about the state of their romantic relationships? I mean, I think you're going to be a little iffy about sleeping with people right now. That's just my feeling. But I also feel like for you personally, you know, the insecurity is definitely Saturn coming into a square with Pluto and Mars. So it has to deal with like how other people have an effect on your creativity, how other people have an effect on your self-expression, if you feel like you can be yourself and be authentic. Like, if you want to be buddies with him, that's fine. If you want to be, you know, intimate with him, I feel like you're going to throw up the red flag and be like, nope, I'm not really feeling that. And yeah, definitely other people, because the 8th house is other people. So when Saturn comes into the square, and your 8th house from your 5th, it's a lot of like, well, are we on the same page? Are we all speaking the same language? Does she know about me? Do I know, you know, everything that I need to know about her? So I definitely feel like that's going to be something you're going to be dealing with, even come the end of this year when Saturn's coming out of the square and Venus is going retrograde in Capricorn. So for right now, definitely like planets in the 5th house, squaring planets in transit planets in the 8th is a lot of like questioning who you are at your core. I have Saturn going through my 5th house right now. It's squaring transit Uranus in my 8th. There's definitely a lot of like, who am I? Like, what's my authentic self? Like, how do I show that to the world? Like, I'm constantly doing the back and forth dance between the 5th and the 8th house. And I didn't realize how challenging it is when it comes to transforming and like really being authentic with who you really are. Honestly, I feel like, as far as I'm concerned, like the ball is in your court, Sam. Like it's really up to you. If you decide that you want to do that, you can. There's going to be plenty of opportunities also to like go deeper into some of these like connections with people happening in November when planets start to segue into Scorpio. My only thing that I will say is squares from the 5th to the 8th is like what you pick up energetically from other people. Like what psychological, energetic, spiritual energies you pick up from other people, especially when you're exchanging energy. So it kind of makes me feel like be cautious with who you mix your energy with. But the insecurity, I think, is going to end, especially when Saturn comes out of a square with your Pluto, and it's really just trying to get you to be really direct and authentic about what is and is not a match for you, what does and does not feel good, like what does resonate and does not resonate with you, whether it's work, habits, lifestyles, relationships, all of that stuff, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that's helpful. Let me know. Thank you guys, for those of you guys who are being patient. I know we've got a whole list of people who are in the PayPal. I'm just going to check into this really quick so that way I can give you guys a running tally of who's in line. Just got to get through my people. So yeah, we got a couple people. We've got Paula, Danae, Swatz, Candace. Nice to see you, Candace. Hey, Paula. I see you. And also Madison. So you guys are all in order. I also see that we got a super chat. Thank you, Fan Bam. We have a $40 minimum, so I am happy to look at your stuff, but we do have a $40 minimum for questions. Okay, that's my concern. I don't want to start. I would just say between the retrograde in your 5th, Sam, and the impending retrograde in your 8th, just be mindful of like taking up with other people and like whether or not they're intertwined with others and like how that's going to play out for you, especially with your heart space, because I see you being really focusing on like clearing out the heart and being cautious about who you mix your energy with. So you got to check with your heart first. It's got to be like, oh, does this feel good? No, it doesn't feel good. Okay, let's be friends. Especially when it comes to switching into like the sexual stuff, because that's when the pressure is going to begin. Saturn in Aquarius in your 8th house is weird. You're going to deal with people who are involved with other people. You're going to meet swingers. You're going to meet all kinds of shit. And you're going to start really asking yourself, what is a fit for me and what isn't? Just because it's somebody's thing, it doesn't mean it's your thing, right? And like you might pick up on energy through them. Yes, and that cap has been goes to me. Just anybody and everybody who's going to come back to you is going to come back to you at the end of this year. So make sure that you're still checking into the channel, especially in December and January, because you're going to see a lot of stuff come up. All right, thank you guys for being patient. I appreciate it. Lots of Candaces tonight. Yeah, it's Candace gang, gang, gang. Thank you guys. Okay, so I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. It looks like we got everybody from my channel, although looks like Paula's here, so let me know. We got Sam, we got Anjali, we got Jessica. Is Susan or Catherine or Paula here? Let me know, let me know. Okay, cool. So I'm going to move on over, guys. So now I am moving into the PayPal. Those of you guys who are waiting, thank you for being patient. I appreciate it. Let's go ahead and get into it. We are going to start with Paula. I have a question about a transit next year. I see Uranus in the North Node will be conjunct on my descendant around July 19, 2022. I'm curious what it could mean. I've never been in a relationship before. That's good, because if Uranus goes into your 7th, that means it's going to radically change relationships. Just a very strong, significant connection with someone who didn't become a relationship. I do hope it's a romantic relationship. Here we go. 321-89. So let's see what you have in store, Paula. 321. 1989. And that is at 9 p.m. exact. I always question that when I see that. I'm always like, is it really exact? Lima, Peru. All right, so can you confirm if you've looked at your chart before? It looks like I've got you Scorpio rising, and your sun is in Aries in the 5th house, and your moon is in Virgo in the 11th. Please let me know, let me know. Let me know. Hi, Paula. I'll get you in just a second. I will pop on over to you. Give me your info and a question. Although I know I have your info somewhere, but I don't have it on this screen. So give it to me again if you'd like me to. So we are coming off of the question that I have for the other Paula, Casa Rustica. Questions about relationships and this conjunction that you have that's going to be happening in your 7th house cusp. Descendant around July. So let's talk about this a little bit, all right? Scorpio rising. For Scorpio risings, Uranus going into your 7th house. Uranus is unexpected, not something that you see coming, right? It's out of the blue. It's like a firework. Uranus rules your 4th house of home. So here's what's going to happen. And listen up, Scorpio risings. If you have a Scorpio rising, let's say 15 to 22 degrees-ish. Uranus going into your 7th house is a sudden change in fate when it comes to relationships, right? How you relate to other people, whether or not you suddenly meet somebody, whether or not you suddenly get married, whether or not you suddenly get divorced. If you haven't been in a consistent relationship, meeting somebody is very likely. However, Uranus rules your 4th house, which means it's either going to be as a result of you moving, relocating, somebody who moves to you, you meet somebody who lives in another city, you meet somebody who lives in another place. I'm wondering, where do you live now? Do you still live in Peru? Do you still visit Peru? Is there anything like that that's going on? Let me know. Because the 4th house is the motherland, right? So it's like, do you have a situation where you go back home and then you meet somebody out of the blue? Could happen. But just Uranus going into that part of your chart does make me feel like you're going to meet somebody. Now, if we're looking at whole sign houses, right? Because I don't practice whole sign, but in a way, Uranus going into Taurus has been in your 7th house for a little while. Here's what I'm predicting for you, and it's beyond just the Uranus transit. It more has to do with the North Node coming into conjunction with your Mars right now, which is clearing out all old relationship, helping you figure out work, and also maybe changing where you're working or how you're working. Then the North Node is going to conjunct your Jupiter. This will be happening in November. For women, Jupiter represents the husband. Jupiter is the ruler for you of your 2nd house. Maybe you start making money in a new way. Okay, cool. So you already live in New Jersey. Great. So you're already in a foreign place. Maybe you meet a foreigner. I don't know. But look for, from November of 2021 through when the North Node Sun Uranus conjunction is happening on your descendant in May of 2022, all the way up until when Uranus conjuncts your 7th house. I'm predicting spring of 2023. I think you're going to get married. That's what I think is going to happen. I think you're going to meet somebody before then. I think they might live in a different place, so they're going to move to you or you're going to move to them. It can be that you meet somebody on the internet and then you're like, okay, well, would you move here? Would you come here? Or vice versa. So that's what's likely to happen with Uranus going into your 7th house. I've seen a lot of Scorpio risings this year. Keep in mind your rising sign is 19 degrees. That's a Libra degree. So it's about marriage, but it's about marrying somebody that you never saw coming, somebody who feels like a friend, somebody who comes out of the blue. I'm also looking at Jupiter coming into an opposition with your moon. So there's going to be all kinds of opportunities for you to meet people socially. You know, dating is going to be a little lit in the next year with Jupiter going into your 5th house of true love. You may find that you're more open to the idea of marriage, you're more open to the idea of true love, you're more open to the idea of having children. Jupiter going through your 5th house as a Scorpio rising. You or your partner may have baby fever. That may happen. I'm also looking at Jupiter conjuncting your Venus. It is going to be awesome. The one thing I would say is this though. Neptune is hovering around your Venus. So you need to exercise caution when it comes to dealing with new lovers or love affairs. So it's like when you meet somebody, you're gonna be like, oh my God, is it too good to be true? It could be, right? Your Venus is at 27 degrees, so that is a Gemini degree. There can be 2 people. You start talking to them on the phone. You start going back and forth with them on a chat room. They may live in a different place. You travel to see them. I don't know, something like that's going to happen. But I see Jupiter and Neptune coming together as like divine love when it sits on your Venus. And because Venus rules your 7th house, the person who comes in is like, I've been looking for you. I want to get married. I want to have a baby. These are things that I want to do. They might be really adamant about the idea of merger because it's making a sextile to your 7th house cusp. And for a Scorpio rising, you're going to be like, what the fuck? I've never been in a relationship before. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if this is something that I'm really ready for. This is kind of like crazy. I never saw this coming. So I definitely think that it's very possible that love finds you in the most unexpected situation. It may not make sense geographically. There may be a sense of you needing to move to them or them needing to move to you, but I like it. I'm liking Jupiter in your 5th house trining your ascendant. I feel like it's going to bring you a new relationship. I also feel like this could happen sooner than you think. Even if you don't really settle into the relationship to the beginning of 2023, it may be something that starts as early as the new year of 2022. So that's what I see coming. Okay, so if you look at whole sign houses, it's already been there and it's starting to make the sextile to your Mercury and to your Venus. I do feel like you might meet them online or you might meet them through a friend, you know? So it's really good. It's just, you know, Scorpio risings, you guys, you don't always do well with change, right? So it, Lucas, to me, it does seem like it'll be something that gets you really excited. And I can see that you have, you know, Mars and Jupiter in your 7th house. So it does make me feel like through a career change or a job change, you meet them, or through work or working in a different way, you meet them, or maybe they relocate or they move for work and then you meet them and it's like, what? This is crazy. I've seen so many Scorpio risings that have gone through this where they meet somebody and they change their work or vice versa. So I wouldn't fear it. I think it's actually been harder for you to have Uranus square your IC. The only challenge is going to be where you're going to live. Are you going to move to them or they're going to move to you? So hopefully that's helpful. Let me know. Definitely Uranus crossing an angle is big changes, but you're changing the way that you perceive relationships. It's like, wow, maybe I can. Maybe the most rebellious thing you can do with the Scorpio rising in the next 2 years with it going into your 7th can be like, the most rebellious thing I can do is like actually get married or like start a family, right? And it's like something that you never thought you would do. Catherine, it's nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Let me know. I've got Catherine and I've got Paula. So Paula's next because you guys are my VIPs. That's the benefit, guys, of being able to be subscribing and supporting the channel. If you are in level 3, I'm going to get you first. So I'm going to move on over to Catherine. Catherine, if you have a question, let me know, guys. This is going to be for the whole month of August. So if you guys want to use it now, you're welcome to. And I see that we also have Paula. Paula, it's nice to see you. Let's pull up your info. December 9th, 1970. Thank you guys for waiting and being patient. I appreciate it. I never know how many people are going to show up. Paula is at 4:02 a.m. or p.m. Let me know. And where was that again? I forget. Actually, I have your info here. I can just pull it up. Hold up. Hi, Paula. It's nice to see you. I imagine you have lots of colorful things to tell me. Looks like 4:02 p.m. in Alberta. I should know that by now, Paula. We're like BFFs. Okay, Paula. It's nice to see you. What's your question for me? Let me know. What's going on? Let me know. I imagine you're feeling the effects of, you know, Uranus being between your moon and Saturn. Help me help you, Paula. It's like a race. I want to see which one of us is going to get married first, you or me. Who's it going to be? Oh, thank you. You didn't have to do that. I guess you can ask 2 questions if you'd like, or I can send it back to you. But let me know what your question is. I've got your chart up. Paula's a Gemini rising Sag sun, and she has her moon in Taurus as per her chart. How can I help you? Well, one thing I will say is that probably the biggest energy that's going on in your chart right now is just the fact that you've got all these planets moving into Virgo in your 5th house, coming into a square with your sun. So it's like, how do I deal with my children? How do I deal with launching my business? How do I deal with what my heart wants? How do I feel about love, relationships, intimacy? Okay, well, just let me know. All this marriage talk. Lucas! Next year, Saturn's going to oppose all your shit, Lucas, all right? Then you're going to be like, just saying. When is my partner getting a better job? Good question. Ask me another question. I'll give you another answer. So when we look at jobs, right, we look at what's happening. The 4th house is actually talks about the career of your partner because it's 10 houses away from your 7th. Those of you guys who are wondering how I'm making these views. The sun has been opposition to Saturn, so it's like things haven't been panning out. They haven't been expanding. It hasn't been opening up. So you want to look at a positive aspect between the sun and maybe Jupiter, perhaps. So yeah, I do see something like that happening. Mercury is quincunx Jupiter as we speak, so it's kind of like this frustration of you having to carry the team. From what it looks like is like maybe when the sun comes into a trine with Jupiter, actually 2 things. When there is this full moon that's coming around the 19th, it's going to be moon conjunct Jupiter in opposition to the sun. So there can be a breakthrough the next full moon that we're going to have in Aquarius. It's a blue moon. It's the 2nd moon. It's kind of rare. We don't see that very often. So you've had that twice now that's been highlighting the 10th house and the 4th house, what you do versus what he does, and the tension of the opposition. But this next new moon is conjunct Jupiter. So good news can come around the 21st. Equally, good news can also come when the sun comes into a trine with Jupiter, where it makes me feel like there's a possibility where he can have a change and it's allowing him to travel. So this is looking really strong from about mid-October on. Sun coming into a trine with Jupiter and the moon. Mid-October, you know, he might start hearing about it the end of this month, right around the full moon, and then somewhere around this trine. Really look at what's going on October 14th, 15th, give a day or 2. I do see that trine is going to open up because it's also going to make an aspect to your ascendant. So things look more positive and more optimistic then. I do think that's when there is going to be a change. And I think that will be triggered by the moon. The one issue that I see is that there is a Mercury retrograde. Now, Mercury retrogrades can bring things back. So Mercury going retrograde in your 6th house to your 5th house is you're leaving, wait, I'm taking care of the kids? You know, all of a sudden I have more responsibility, or okay, great, you're going off to work. Now I can focus more on what's happening with me and my business, like what I'm doing with my business, how I'm focusing on what I'm creating, what I'm working on, spending time with my children, getting back to my hobbies, crafting, like that kind of stuff. So it does look like that's going to be happening for you right around mid-October, but it's going to come back sooner. So that is happening. That will be happening. Last 3 years is a little crazy. Will the new year go smoother? Yes and no. I mean, the good thing is that, you know, I see the North Node as like energy of Jupiter, right? So it's Jupiter energy, expansion, going more in the direction of what you're here to accomplish. So what's interesting about your chart in the new year is for you, Paula, Saturn is going to conjunct your North Node. I'm a part of that group too, so I will be in that with you. Although I'm seeing it happen for like Mike and stuff, and he's doing okay. But the Saturn becoming conjunct your North Node in the 10th house as you're transforming your career. Mars will be there, as will There will be a Mercury retrograde. So to me, it seems like you're really shifting more into this February, March, April, into coming into your career and feeling like you have more control over what you're doing, and feeling like you're moving more into the energy of like being a boss and making money in a more unconventional or Uranian way, creatively. I love that Saturn is still going to trine Uranus in your 5th, so it's very supportive for January, February, March of 2022 for like launching your own thing. So I definitely think so, but it's about moving out of this feeling like it's based off of what your partner is doing. Like in a way, when your partner goes away for work and he travels, it's going to make it easier for you to focus on your hobbies so you can like get your side hustle going. That's my 2 cents. And I think it may take until then, but you may actually make that segue of like really kind of building a lot of this stuff out. More so like right around, mid-October. It's going to start mid-October. All these planets going into your 6th house, trining your 10th is making the time, organizing, scheduling, getting everything organized, working with another person. So it might be that he goes back to work, but you start partnering with another woman, Libra, when it comes to the work that you're doing, and you kind of expand. So hopefully that's helpful. I mean, I know we've talked about like this building transit for some time, but this is worth waiting for, because whatever you're starting to put together in October, it really kind of comes full circle and it becomes very visible to the world in January, February, March of 2022. But I would say he's going back to work. That trine to Saturn is going to seal the deal. About another month, maybe 6 weeks max, and then you're going to see that change. Hopefully that's helpful. Let me know. I know we've got a whole slew of people who are in the queue. So thank you guys for those of you guys who are waiting. Just wanted to make sure that we chat with all of our people. We got Paula, we got Sam. Catherine, you're here. Catherine, let me know if you have a question. If you want to use this now, you can use this now. Thank you, Paula. I'm glad to hear your hands better, Catherine. Let me know if you have a question for the month ahead. Those of you guys who are on tier 3, you can ask one question, whether it's tarot or astrology, at any point once a month. So if you use it now, you're halfway through the month, great. We're going to be back 2 other times this month. So Catherine, if you have a question, let me know. For the queue, I got a ton of people waiting. Thank you guys for being patient. I'm sorry. We did have a chance to get to the other Paula. Danae, you're next in the queue. Then we've got Swatz, Candace. And yep, that's it so far. So far, so good. So let me know if I'm missing anybody. Catherine, I saw that photo you sent me of your hand. I'm glad you're doing better. Until I get Catherine's info again, I wish I had a computer memory. I don't. Some charts I can remember, some I can't. So I'm going to pop over the PayPal. If you have a question, Catherine, let me know some of your info again. Okay, you're going to save it? Okay, cool. Don't worry, I'll be back. Next week's tarot. So if you'd rather have tarot, we can do that. So let's go ahead and pop over to Danae. I got a reading from you a couple weeks ago. You said a lot of positive stuff about career. You gave me a date. I haven't heard anything yet. Getting nervous and a little down. I hope you can send me positive vibes. Here's my vibes. Try not to lose hope and stay open-minded. Just feeling a little lost. I'm in my Saturn's return. I hope I get a call soon. Do you know why I haven't gotten a call or see one later in my chart? Okay, so let's put your info in. Please let me know if I'm pronouncing your name right. October 3rd, 91. (9:01 a.m.) Clovis. Saturn's return, man, it's hard. I gotta tell you, like, you hit 30 and you're like, oh, and then you hit 31 and you're like, okay, now I'm in control. But a lot of like really important stuff happens during your Saturn's return. There's a lot of like really needing to like show the fuck up. I hate to say that, but from my perspective, having come out of my Saturn's return, because I went through it and I dealt with it, on the other side, it was like, I'm so glad I dealt with the stuff that I needed to deal with. Just confirm and let me know. Scorpio rising, sun in Libra, moon in Leo. Is this correct? Let me know. Okay. So to me, see, other people will tell you, like, your Saturn return is like, ah! As astrologers, a lot of us believe that your playing out karma. Saturn is the karmic lord. So you're paying, you know, and moving through karmic stuff that deals from your past life. So like, I'm not going to say you're not in control, but it's like a lot of what happens up until 27, 28, 29, 30 is a lot of stuff pertaining to your last life, and then you clear it out. So be present with it, you know, take it head on, take the bull by the horns. Questions pertaining to your work stuff. I mean, here's the deal. You do have a full moon coming. Okay, so what I'm looking for is aspects to the sun and aspects to Mercury. That's really what's important here. You're dealing with the sun coming out of a square with Uranus, and I feel like we want to see some really positive sun stuff happening. So Saturn is now retrograde, trine your sun, ruler of the 10th. So I'll give you a couple dates where things can shape up. One of which is definitely going to be, I think, this full moon right around the 21st, because it's going to oppose your sun. It's going to be right on top of your Venus. You might get some sweet news, some offer, something like that changes your position in the world around the 21st. So hang tight. Also, I'm watching planets move into your 11th house and come up on your natal Mercury and your sun. So there can be some information that comes out right around September 5th. Mars might join the bunch with the sun right around your birthday and go, we need you now. I think you're going to be starting something by the end of September, to be honest with you. All of those planets are going to be in your 11th house. It's going to be on top of your 10th house Lord. It's going to trine Mercury in your 3rd. Okay, there might be a commute. Okay, you have to sign documents. Okay, you have to learn a new software. You know, maybe, you know, you work remotely, maybe. But to me, it's like the transits get more and more and more positive. Now, Mercury will go retrograde, and it will go retrograde in your 12th house, which is dealing with anxiety. Whether or not you are a part of a group, whether or not you're fitting in, whether or not you're catching up, whether or not your dreams are actually panning out for you, okay? Personally, I feel like now is the time to get the show on the road. You know, Uranus is coming into a square with your moon in the 10th, so you're doubting yourself. You're doubting whether or not this is what you should be doing for a living, maybe. You're doubting whether or not this is going to pan out. You're doubting whether or not you have the skills that you need. You may get into a position or a job that's different than what you usually do with Uranus square your moon. Definitely looking into different fields, taking jobs in different places, working with jobs that might be international, or they might be offering some kind of training, right? But I'm also looking at Jupiter in opposition to your Venus. Do you need to be looking further? Do you need to be looking at jobs in other places? Is it important for you to be looking at that? Are you going to get a really significant offer for something that's in another place, right? So any which way I cut it, especially because Jupiter rules your 2nd house of money, it's like you might get something unexpectedly out of the blue, but it's like in a different part of the city or in a different city altogether. And you start questioning whether or not you would relocate for this, right? Jupiter being in opposition to your Venus, I think, is really great. It does square your Pluto, so it's whether or not you're willing to change. A lot of people who have Jupiter in the 4th as a Scorpio rising, they're going to start being more curious about, well, do I want to move to another place? Is it more affordable to live there? You know, am I going to find a better job there? Is it a better job market? I would say start questioning where you're living, and are you willing to make a change? Are you open to making a change? Jupiter's talking about the future. I'm doubting that it won't pan out, and it just froze. No, things are going to pan out. Look for when Jupiter comes into the final opposition with your Venus, and I feel like the most sweet deal is definitely going to be something that's going to, at the very least, give you the ability to have a comfortable living environment. Jupiter rules your 2nd house of money. In opposition to your Venus is it's going to go ding. Okay, there's 2 options because your Venus is at a Gemini degree, 27. So it's really dealing with, well, is there a remote job? Is there something close by? Do I do this until I find the right one? I have seen people do that where they'll take on a job until they find the right one. So if you end up taking on something in this next couple of weeks, you might find that right around the time that Jupiter comes into its final opposition with your Venus, something else kind of pops up at the end of this year. But your Saturn return, Saturn technically sitting, in your natal 3rd house, Placidus. Okay, some people would say your 4th house, which is, dealing with your home. It's whether or not you're willing to move, whether or not you're willing to learn something new, whether or not you're willing to be flexible. Are you willing to work remotely? Are you willing to relocate? These are things that I would ask myself. Scorpio rising with Saturn in Aquarius, fuck. It's a little stubborn, huh? A little unwilling to move, huh? Or learn how to work remotely. That's the other way I could see it. I got a call for a job, but it's not the job I want. I'm going to take it because I'm going to take it because it's experience. Be open with Jupiter square your moon and Uranus square your moon to something different. I love that you're like, okay, well, it's not what I want. I'm not comfortable with it, but it's something different. I think that's great for you because it's going to not just give you experience, but you're going to learn tools and you're going to learn all kinds of ways of doing things that are very different than how you've been working. Like it's not just experience, it's something that's different. It's going to kind of change the status quo a little bit. But I feel like it's important to do this now before Saturn comes into an opposition with your Venus, because then you're more kind of landlocked next year. Feel it out, see if you like it, is my advice. But look for some good news right around that full moon. That full moon's going to be conjunct your Venus. The sun will be conjunct your Venus, so it's shining a light on a job. I think it's going to be somewhere else, to be honest with you. Do this for now. Something else might pan out at the end of the year. You know, mini Libras, you got Saturn in your 5th house. So it's about feeling more fulfilled when it comes to your self-expression. And I could definitely see like a lot of emotional labor with Saturn going through your 4th house here pretty soon. Learn about Saturn conjunct your IC. It definitely makes you focus on your home, your emotions, your family first. And the opposition to the top part of your chart is reflecting on where you want to be. My Saturn return was in the 4th house. And when I had Saturn conjunct my IC and it went in and out of my 4th house, and then it landed in my 4th house and opposed planets in my 10th, I was like, yes, I can keep working, but this is how I want my life to go. This is how I want my career to go. So it made me physically and emotionally clean house, figure out where I want to live, and get all of my emotions, my family stuff straight, all of that stuff. And it's like now coming out of my Saturn return after having dealt with that, my life is completely different. The job is in town, the other job is traveling job. Take the traveling stuff. Consider doing the traveling stuff. So good with Uranus square your moon. So good with Saturn square your moon. Saturn in your 3rd has you moving around. So perhaps you'll do some traveling stuff and you'll feel out how you like it. And then you'll be like, wait a second, this is kind of cool. Like, you know, I've gotten to see some cities that I probably would have never gone to. So now I'm more open to doing something that's going to have me more mobile, right? Hopefully that was helpful. Let me know. I'm pretty sure I got all of my people. So I'm going to move down my list. We got a chance to talk with both Paulas, Danae. Now we got Swatz. Thanks for being patient, Swatz. It's nice to see you again. Feel like I'm cutting friends out of my life who are not serving me, and I'm realizing my worth. Thoughts on this? What things should I be looking forward to? Born the 10th of February, 1986, Fiji, living in New Zealand. Okay, let's pull up your info, Swatz. Thank you for joining me again. It's lovely to see a lot of you guys back. It's kind of cool to see people kind of filter in. 1986 at 10 a.m. And it looks like that is in Fiji, LAU. And you're in New Zealand. I love whenever I see like the 11th, the 12th, the 13th of February, because your sun is like somewhere close to my North Node. So I always love talking to these people because they always give me some insight into like how to be a little bit more Aquarian, you know? 3:10 a.m. Thank you. Make sure we get that right. Oh, there we go. 3:10 a.m. I didn't see it on the second line. Okay, so that's then giving you a Cap rising, and your sun is in Aquarius and your moon is in Aquarius in the 2nd and the 3rd house. Just confirm. Let me know so to make sure this is correct. Cap rising. For friendships, we see that is your 11th house. So friends, associations, natally, Swatz has Saturn conjunct Mars. So we've got 2 malefics that are conjunct in the friendship house. So off the bat, that's already kind of saying like there's some karma revolving around relationships. You know, whether or not you feel like you need to end relationships, you need to cut people off, if you need to like especially from your childhood, or people who you've known for a really long time, or people who might be friends with your family, or people who you might have a really strong emotional connection to, because it's the 4th house ruler. Here's what I'm going to tell you. The South Node is conjunct your Saturn right now. The South Node's coming for your Mars. There has been an eclipse conjunct your natal Mars, ruler of the 11th, and you've got Mars there. You've got 2 options, Swatz. You either cut people out, or you start having full-on brawls with people. And it may be over politics. It may be on Facebook. It may be over whether or not, people are showing up and stepping up for you. It may be whether or not other people are just spewing a bunch of stuff that's bullshit. Sag is our philosophy and our beliefs and our higher mind. So having an eclipse there recently is setting the tone for the South Node going through there, saying, we're going to just wipe everything out. And if there are friends that you're fighting with, if there are friends that you're having conflict with, if there are friends that are not showing up for you, if they're fighting you, if they're not giving you what you need, if they're pushing back on you, talking about your feelings, whatever it is, the cosmic clearing is happening, right? Just having the South Node go through your 11th house is going to do that. But when an eclipse is aspecting your personal and your natal planets, like your Mars and your Saturn, I want you to think about what's been happening since June. Because the sun has been in Gemini, the earth has been in Sag. So the sun in Gemini moving into this opposition has been showing you recently where you're not on the same page, or people are being immature, or they're not really, listening to you or there for you, right? What's lovely is, like, I gotta tell you, you have so much Aquarius energy. I'm living for it. Sun, Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, the moon. It's an interesting thing because Aquarius is always about being independent, going against the grain, being different than what other people agree with, or what other people believe, or what other people understand, right? I've got a friend who's got a good friend of mine who I'm going to be seeing soon. She's got a Sag rising, late Sag rising, same stellium in Aquarius. And she's so interesting because every time I talk to her, she's having a blast. She's like, yeah, I go here, I do this, I do that. I have friends here, I have friends there. And I have found I'm very inspired by her because she really lights up my North Node in Aquarius and shows me that it's okay to be on my own. It's okay to fly my freak flag. It's really helpful for me to kind of like see that energy because it really assists me. So when I look at your chart, I feel like Saturn coming into a conjunction with your sun is supporting the fact that you're like, you know what? I would rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies. I would rather have a few really good friends than have a ton of friends. Equally, I value myself so much that I would rather be alone than have shitty people around me, right? Because there are sextiles between Aquarius and Sag. So the 2nd house is what you value, what you own. You might be somebody who prides yourself on collecting friends, solid friends, friends that you hold on to with all that Aquarius in the 2nd house. But I kind of feel inclined to tell you it's about the relationship you're establishing with yourself, what you value. And it'll help you align with people who share that. Do I see good things coming? Absolutely. Jupiter is there now. So having Jupiter moving through that 2nd house, as soon as Jupiter starts to come into a positive aspect with your natal Mars, you are going to see that there are new friends coming. To me, it feels like there's a lot of kind of hanging on a little bit until then. There's still some clearing out going on January, February of 2022. But as soon as Jupiter comes into a trine with your natal Mars and the South Node clearing is out, I think you've got new friends coming in. I think you're meeting friends on the internet. I think you're meeting friends through other people. I think you're meeting friends who are younger. North Node in the 5th coming into a square with your 2nd house. You will be valuing dating, creativity, hobbies, children more, and that will set the stage and kind of pave the way for, where you're going with making friendships. But fortunately, unfortunately, until then, there's a cosmic clearing until the new year. I mean, it's just going to keep happening. So the good stuff is going to come more so January, February, March, April 2022. And you really watch when Jupiter comes into a trine, I think with your natal Mars in Aries. Also, Jupiter is going to hover around your natal Jupiter and your moon, right? So it's like, I also kind of feel like this is about like, do you want to go on road trips? Do you want to travel places? Do you want to go places? Jupiter in your 3rd house is going to trine Uranus. So you're going to be on the internet. You're going to be talking to people. You might think about getting a new car. You start questioning, do I want to drive around, meeting people in other places, right? So it's the future of that. Like in a way, having Jupiter go through Aquarius right now, to me, it does feel kind of isolated. It does feel lonely. but it's trying to get you to focus on all of these things that you really, 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 really value, right? Sun, Venus, Mercury in your second. What do you value? What do you like? What do you love? I definitely think that it's possible for you to focus more on beauty, astrology, gardening, cooking, aesthetics, art, creativity, self-expression, like all of these things that are the second house, music, and finding people who have that same stuff in common as you to make it easier for you to feel like, you know, you don't have to like, you know, make all of these changes in your interests just to maintain a friendship. You're going to meet people who have the same interests. Anybody who's got a stellium in the second house, they like to eat, they like beauty, they like to design, they like earthy things, right? And so I feel like it's more about finding people who share those same interests as you to just make the whole process of like actually making friends with people who you really want to hang out with more enjoyable, rather than trying to share all of these things with people who don't get it, or they're not on the same level, or they don't believe, right? Jupiter, I believe, Sag. So you might be like, oh my God, astrology, oh my God, gardening, oh my God, design, oh my God, all this stuff. And you're trying to talk to people about the stuff who you're currently friends with, and they're like, I don't get it. Like, I'm not interested in that. So it's trying to get you to find people who are just as excited about the future as you are and some of the things that you value. So I would say, like, find astrology friends, find people who are interested in that stuff. It's definitely going to make some huge segues. And even though it seems a little lonesome right now, having Jupiter in those places, it's all about what talents you have. You're honing in on your own personal talents. Other people aren't going to be able to understand that. In the new year, the nodes are going to square your second house. So it's all about what you value. You're so incredibly blessed to have all those planets in Aquarius with where the world is going. More people are going to have the same interests you are. More people are going to want to know what you know. More people are going to want to share what you value, and they're going to be interested in what you know. Okay? So you don't see it yet, but over the next 2 years, that's going to mature, and you're going to find that whatever you've been really focusing on and learning and kind of fixated on and perfecting, because yeah, you got all that Aquarius, but you're kind of like a Taurus. People are going to be like, oh my God, you know how to grow a garden? You understand solar energy? You know all about astrology? You know how to grow cannabis? Like whatever it is that you know how to do, there are going to be people who are going to want to know how to do that. So the universe is like clearing all kinds of stuff out right now. So you really hyper focus on those things, because over the next like several years, when Saturn leaves Aquarius and Pluto goes into Aquarius, those can be such powerful tools for you. And you know, Aquarius has got a couple of feet kind of in the future. You got 1 foot in the future, 1 foot here. So I want you to think about where you're going to be 3 years from now, where you're going to be 30 years from now, and what you're building and working on now, and try to see the silver lining in the situation where whoever's being cleared out of your life, they're being cleared out of your life so you can focus on that, right? I have a stellium in the second house. Totally get it. That's why I am where I am now, because I went really, really, really deep into what I valued and what I found interesting. And 7, 8, 9, 10 years later, I'm here. So don't give up on what you value and keep focusing on that stuff, because people are going to definitely be very interested, and you'll have something very valuable, right? Valuable friendships, valuable techniques, valuable trades, whatever. So it's going to get better. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Swatz. All right, so we're moving through. We've got everybody. Don't worry, we didn't miss anybody. Now we are moving up in the queue. We are going to go to Candace, then we have Madison, then we have Amber, then we have Nancy, in that order. So if you're listening, stay tuned. We're getting ready to close out the chat. If you want to make a purchase now. Otherwise, we're going to wrap this up pretty soon, and I will be back next week. Swatz, you're like the person I want to be friends with. You let me know when you come to the States, because I want to hang out with you. Your chart makes me so excited for the future, because you don't even know the kind of talents that you have yet. You will start building on that now. Jupiter's showing you the future now. Okay, Candace. Let's see what's up. It's nice to see you. There can only be one. I don't see very many aces, but let's take a look and let's see what's going on with you. I know your astrology, so I get excited even looking at this. 4, 8, 85. I remember you got all that Aries in your chart. 1435, so that is 235 in Fresno. All right, all right. So we've got you here, Virgo rising, Sun in Aries in the 8th house, Moon in Saggy. Candace's question is, my work is forcing us to get the vaccine. I don't want it, so are they going to fire me? Am I going to be okay? Oh, man. Let's take a look here. Vaccines or health-related stuff is always going to deal with your 6th house, which is Uranus. And we do see that Saturn is in a square with Uranus, so it's going to get you thinking about, okay, do I want to do this forever? Should I do this forever? You know, is this the way to go? The Sun has been in opposition to Saturn the last like 2 weeks, so to me it feels like it's putting a real focus on you, having to make a decision, which is making you really anxious. Intuitively, I think that the other thing that's going on right now is that there is an eclipse coming in November on your midheaven ruled by Venus. Okay? So part of what's coming for you is that with or without the vaccine, let's just put the vaccine aside. Sorry, I need a sip of my drink for this one. With or without the vaccine, an eclipse on your midheaven is setting you up to go in the direction of transforming and changing your career, okay? So part of what's happening is that around mid-November, this eclipse is going to be smack dab on your midheaven, which is changing the direction of where you're going with your career. Can that manifest as you being fired? Yes. Will it? Not necessarily, but it can. I do think that I would pay attention to what's going on more so in November. I don't really get the impression that they're going to necessarily fire you until there is some kind of opposition or square to your natal Venus. So things get a little bit more intense right around October, when the Sun and Mars and Mercury come into an opposition with your natal Venus, ruler of your 10th house. To me, it seems as if that's when you're really getting pushed in the direction of like having to make a decision. Thankfully, it is going to trine Saturn. So it makes me feel like, literally the chart makes me feel like if you can have proof or a document that you have allergies or you have a food allergy, or there's some kind of documentation of allergies or a health reason to not take the vaccine, that can be your saving grace. It is possible. I would look into that. I also feel like this is putting the pressure on you with the square to Pluto in your 5th to create and evolve and come up with something new. Is there something that you're wanting to do but you're holding back? That's the question that I have for you. An eclipse on your midheaven, the North Node on your midheaven, any which way I cut it, from November of 2021 through May of 2022, even really August, but May, is setting you up to go into a completely different direction with your career. That's the truth. As long as you have a positive aspect to Venus, you are going to find that your career is going to expand. This expansion gets really strong April, May, June 2022. So your job's going to change either way, right? A lot of this would also depend on your solar return. So let's just assume you're an Aries, you know, just Aries sun. We're going to talk about Aries sun, Aries rising. Jupiter going into your sign in this new year is going to be a new beginning. You may find that there is a need for you to go in the direction of something that's more creative. So if there's a hobby or something that you're wanting to go back to, I see you going back to that, probably because of the Venus retrograde and all the planets in Capricorn in December and in January, and it's squaring your Venus. So it's basically saying, I got to make money somehow. I got to do something different. And I think it's pushing you into the direction of being like, well, what can I do that involves children, creativity, aesthetics, an online business, things like that. So there's something like that that's brewing that really, really wants you to do more. Being fired, I don't know. I mean, it's going to oppose your Saturn. I mean, I don't really feel like I feel like if they do fire you, because you are having your Mars activated with Uranus on your Mars, you have a potential legal lawsuit. There's some lawsuit that might come from this. If you can basically say, look, they're telling me I have to get the vaccine. I don't want to get the vaccine. They're telling me they're going to fire you. I don't like this, but I would say let them fire you. Then you can go and talk to an attorney or talk to somebody about what your options are. Then your Venus is going to get triggered and you're going to get some kind of support. Then you decide what you want to do. You know? But it's trying to push you in a different direction. Girl, You're going to have Venus retrograde in your 5th. It's going to trine your midheaven. It's basically saying, how can you make money through your creativity and your art, or doing something that's going to be different, right? Go and look into an eclipse on your midheaven, or North Node transit your midheaven. Being that it's in Taurus and it rules Venus, there's going to be a change. It's going to happen. It happened in the early 2000s. So if we look back to what was going on then, it was probably your first big girl job, okay, 2002, 2003. So think about what was happening that year. Suddenly you had a job ruled by Venus. You were making money. You were making cash. There was an exchange. So to me, it seems like there's going to be a shift. I've had eclipses on my midheaven. Totally changed the whole direction of my life. It obviously deals with what planet rules that house. So for you, it's Venus. Venus in Aries in the 8th, conjunct Mercury. Your chart ruler is, how can I make money? Doing something creative. How can I sell something? Working with Aries, burning, designing, lasers. Like, are you still doing the wood stuff? I'm scrolling. Let me see if I can find this stuff. Are you still doing like the design and the wood burning? Do you have a shop? Do you want to go back to the shop? I would say whether you get fired or not, I would go back to that at the end of this year. I think the Venus retrograde is going to bring you back. I think it's going to trine your midheaven, and I think it's going to trine the eclipse point. There's no reason to not go back into your own creative business at the end of this year. It wants you to do that. You're going to do that one way or another. Have faith. You know, Jupiter going into Aries in this next year is going to be really good. And I think that it can really expand everything for you. And when I think just about Aries in general, right, Jupiter's in the 12th house. So there's a lot of needing to keep the faith. Girl, go back to it. Start building that stuff out as soon as planets get into your 5th house then. So you can start, or even sextiling your 5th house. I would say start going back to the shop mid-September through October, getting everything ready for the holidays. Start trying to sell stuff and getting stuff out there for the holidays, and then reevaluate everything December, January, and decide if you want to keep doing it. I really want to see you do that. Okay? Your chart ruler conjunct Venus in Aries is burning something. It can also be making money in a sexual fashion, showing your body, pictures, sexy clothes, right? I've seen a lot of like stelliums and Aries in the 8th house. I got a client who's like a dominatrix that has that, or I've seen strippers that have that. I've seen sex workers that have that. I'm not saying you have to do that, but you can make money in that way. But if you are working with Mercury and Aries, Venus in the 8th, I think that wood burning is super awesome. And I think it's coming into a trine with your natal moon. Like, you want to make home signs, kitchen signs, family names, like all that stuff, and really personalize things. So hopefully that's helpful. All right, so that leads us to Madison Kelly, lunar return for August 11th. Okay, so Madison, I need your birthday. I also need the time and the city of where you were born, and I need the city where you're currently living in. Please send me that info. I'm gonna move on to Amber. And Amber Fam Bam was asking me questions way back here. Okay, so Amber, remind me of what your question was. Progressed moon in Scorpio in the 6th. So I'm going to move on to Amber really quick. 1679. p.m. And that was in Washington, North Carolina. Okay, so this is your progress chart. Is it though? Something about this doesn't look right. Washington, North Carolina, January 6, 1979, 3:05 p.m. Okay, you said it was in the 6th house, but I do not see your progressed moon in the 6th house, so I just want to let you know. But let's talk about your progressed moon. So I've got you here, your progress chart is a Cancer rising, progress moon in Scorpio, yes. So progress moon in Scorpio. So the progress chart, planets move about a degree, or at least the moon will change signs every 2 years, but planets will move annually. So there is some kind of change that's happening, and the progress moon, like I said, every 2 years it changes. Progress moon in Scorpio, because Scorpio is a harder place to have the moon, does deal with Scorpio topics, death, regeneration, taxes, mergers, things like that. So progress moon in Scorpio in the natal 4th house is, you know, things that are going on, changes with the home, changes with the family, right? Being that your progressed moon is building into a sextile with your progressed Saturn and your North Node, it makes me feel like part of what's going on is communicating more with siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, getting down to details, lots of phone calls, organizing things, helping sick people, dealing with that. Can also be dealing a lot with neighbors, dealing a lot more with like the possibility of movement or moving, especially when your progressed moon comes into a sextile with your Saturn around October of this year. And then also a sextile with Uranus, a sextile with your North Node and a conjunction to Uranus for March of 2022 until your progressed moon enters into your 5th house. Here's what I will tell you. Time and time again, progressed moon in the 5th house is very fertile energy. It can be a time of pregnancy. It can be a time where you meet somebody and you fall in love. It can be a time where a younger person comes into your life. It can be a time where you fall in love with something. But it can be an unexpected pregnancy or somebody around you who is an unexpected pregnancy. So what I'm looking at is especially right around June, okay, of 2022, progressed moon conjunct Uranus, okay, which is Scorpio moon crisis, any Scorpio energies crisis. And it's coming into a square with Mars in this progressed chart. So I'm wondering, is there a change in your love life? Do you end up meeting somebody? Is there a younger person who enters into your life? Is it sudden, sporadic? You don't see it coming, especially because it's squaring Mars. So the hot time is going to be like June through September of 2022. I really, 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 really want you to pay attention to what's going on at this time. But just your progressed moon as it is right now, sitting in your progressed 4th house, is dealing with releasing and letting go of old situations regarding your family, where you've been living, your roots, your heritage, all of that stuff. And your sun is also, by the way, sitting at 29 degrees of Aquarius. So this next full moon is going to trigger something because it's going to be conjunct your progressed sun in the 8th. So there's a transformation that's coming, or a death or an ending, because it'll also square Uranus. So I'm questioning, is the death or the ending clearing out the past, moving, clearing out your house, making decisions revolving around letting some kind of a family member go? There's something like this happening. Something like this is happening. Look into your progressed moon conjunct progressed Uranus, because that's also highlighting your intuition. It's like out of the blue, you're like having epiphanies and realizations about something. But when the progressed moon gets out of Scorpio and it moves into Sag, in spring of 2023, like March of 2023, this energy releases and Sag is more expansive. So it's like you're more open-minded. So things are definitely going to shift a little bit there. Trying to sell your house. Okay. So yeah, I mean, like to me, I would look for, because you have to take into consideration transit Saturn and Uranus are squaring this and opposing this. So until you come out of that square in opposition, you're looking at the end of this year. That's probably when things are going to break. And I'm assuming when the moon comes into a sextile with Uranus, you will sell the house. November is what it's looking like. November, looking at bariatric surgery. Be really careful with any kind of surgical procedures when the moon, especially if you're dealing with like, you know, anything to your stomach, any surgeries in general, Scorpio. But when the moon comes into a conjunction with Uranus, it can represent heart issues. So I would really say like May, June is a no-go for surgeries. But you want to go deeper. Like that's something, if you're going to schedule a surgery, I really recommend speaking to an astrologer who really like knows their shit and can like really sit down and look at your chart and go, these are the best days. And I personally, you know, will never recommend a client if they having a surgery, if they're having like a Mars or a Saturn or a Pluto square, you know, or especially square to the sun, because it can represent heart issues or issues like that. So especially if you have a progressed moon in Scorpio, I can see where there is a benefit in surgical procedures, but you really want to avoid May. So let me know if you do. You know, I offer those services if you want to book that. I'm happy to tell you very specifically when is the best time to like put your house on the market or the best time to get a surgery. I'm really good at that stuff. I have a lot of planets in Scorpio, so I'm really particular. But definitely selling the house, looking like probably when the moon comes into a sextile with Uranus, with Venus. So December, January. Definitely a good time to sell the house with Scorpio moon in the 4th. Release the house, let it go. And moving is definitely really good. Hopefully that was helpful for you. Okay. All right, so that was Amber. Let's go back to Madison. Thank you, Madison. I got your info. Let's plug your info in. 10/27/97. Washington, North Carolina. Oh, wrong one. 1:32 p.m. Woodbury, New Jersey. So let's see, let's take the progressed off of there. Okay, current locations, Pomona. Pluto's been trying my natal moon for a long time. It's been rough. What do I do? Okay. First of all, Pluto trining your moon. Pluto is a challenging planet, right? But Pluto trining your moon is emotional breakthroughs and transformation. So I first off want to tell you, let's change the way that we're thinking about the transit, because that's everything, right? Like a Pluto square, you're born in 97. So get back to me when you have a Pluto square. That's when shit really starts to hit the fan. Although you have had one of those, but you were much younger. Trines are positive, harmonious energy flows, okay? So let's look at this. The moon rules your 6th house of health, day-to-day routine. Sure, lots of changes in relationships, but Pluto coming into a trine with your moon, I see the moon in Virgo in your 6th house as relationships with coworkers or also like grandparents. So it makes me wonder, like, do you have a grandparent that's like getting older? Are they having health issues? Have they been in and out of hospitals? Have they been dealing with health issues? Is there something like that going on, MK? Let me know. I personally think that because Pluto is the ruler in your chart of your 9th house and it's trining your moon, the ruler of your 6th, it's helping you change your philosophy regarding how your day-to-day routine should go, how you're factoring in more travel, more philosophy, more learning, more education, more time for that, more time for study. I kind of like Pluto hanging out actually in your 12th house. I don't think it's Pluto trining your sun that's giving you a hard time. I think it's Pluto on top of your Neptune that's giving you a hard time. I've had that transit. Pluto-Neptune. When Pluto has a conversation with Neptune, really what it's dealing with is cutting through the fog and cutting through the bullshit. Neptune in the 10th, 12th house is like where you feel disconnected, where you feel like there's things working against you, where you're feeling lonely, where you're feeling isolated. And Pluto hitting that, I feel like really kind of changed the way that you see the world. Yes, both my grandparents are dealing with health issues. My grandfather just got out of heart surgery. I'm sorry to hear that. Pluto conjunct your Neptune and a Venus retrograde there, I think is really going to put a highlight on this at the end of this year. And I feel like it's really going to highlight whether or not one of your grandparents may transition, touch wood, but that may happen. I also feel like Pluto trining your moon is making you more aware of your life, and through the transitions that your elderly grandparents go through, Pluto trine a 7th house moon, is about you thinking about spirits, the spirit realm, mediums, psychics, what happens in the other side, what happens when we transition, really becoming more aware of your faith and your belief system, how that factors into ultimately what you learn about hiding spaces, 12th house, what's going on in your mind. You've also got Uranus there. So you may be somebody with Uranus and Neptune. Like, do you have precognitive dreams? Do you have dreams about the future? Do you have dreams and then it plays out and then it happens? I see that very commonly with Neptune and Uranus in the 12th house. So I feel like it's more about, do you have intuitions or things that come in where you're like, I know where this is going, and then it happens, right? And it can be really anxious because you have that Virgo moon. I also think that it's not Pluto trine your moon. I think it's also Neptune in opposition to your moon. Okay, so you've got a double Neptune transit. Transit Pluto on your natal Neptune. Transit Neptune in opposition to your moon, ruler of the 6th. And how do you look at the relationship that your grandparents have? And how is it painting a picture for the relationship that you want? Because a lot of your karma is about coming into a relationship. North Node, Juno, Moon, all in the 7th. I want you to look at your grandparents and how they handle their health issues. I want you to look at who takes care of who, who's there to support who. Even if one's in and out of the hospital, is the other one still caring for them? Does the other one sit by them and pay attention to them? Does their bond grow stronger? Do they become more aware of each other? Are they really there to help each other, right? And I think what it's doing with Jupiter coming into an opposition with your moon is it's setting you up to really kind of go, I want to love like that. I want a relationship like that, right? Somebody said Neptune is brutal. Neptune is fucking brutal. Like it's rough. You've had Neptune on your south node for a while. There's been a lot of you being like, why am I alone in this life? Where is my person? What's happening? What's the purpose? Right? And I want you to really look at the relationship that your grandparents have. And it should show you very clearly what you want and what you don't want. And if they're still there for each other, if they're still taking care of each other, that is supposed to be a lesson that you're seeing. Because when we think about relationships, like relationships nowadays are just, they're kind of fucking bullshit. Like people go in and out of relationships, people get divorced so quickly, they just like end things so quickly. Like people they don't work on things like they used to. And so when I look at, Neptune hovering around your south node and Jupiter's going to be there soon, I want you to pay attention if there are any sudden changes with their health and you start looking at things and you start kind of going like, wow, at the end of your life, it's really important that you've chosen a partner who's going to be there as you're going through a tough time, spiritually, health-wise, whatever, and you have somebody who's going to stand by you and who's going to be there as you're going through that change. It's like the person who's holding your hand as you're dying. And so that's going to have a huge effect on the way that you look at relationships and what you're looking for. I feel like I don't trust myself or give my intuition enough credit. Maybe I have those kinds of dreams, but probably write it off. Honestly, I wouldn't. Uranus in your 4th and your 12th out of 4 is super, 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 super solid. Like there's stuff there that's telling me that you're learning more about your intuition and that your dreams and your intuition are paving the way to kind of show you what's coming so you make peace with things. So there is a need to fine tune that. Saturn's still in your 12th house. The remedy for that is definitely yoga, meditation. Saturn in the 12th house is really great. And Saturn's getting ready to cross your ascendant conjunct Jupiter, ruler of your 2nd and ruler of your 10th. There are some big changes coming for you in terms of what you want to do with your career. And it's all going to start coming to you intuitively and in a dream space. So don't blame Pluto trine your moon. Pluto trine your moon's amazing. I want you to learn about Pluto on your south node. I want you to learn about Pluto oppose your moon. I want you to learn about Pluto transit your Neptune. Awesome. You're born in 1997. It's awesome that you're so into astrology. I love seeing this. I love seeing younger people. I love seeing fellow Scorpios. It has not been an easy year for Scorpios with Saturn in Aquarius. And there's definitely like a lot of growth that's happening right now. And you're going to come out the other side of it in the new year with Saturn on your ascendant as like a brand new person and a much more mature version of yourself. So I would say give yourself credit, focus more on taking time alone. 12th house is hidden spaces. Meditate more, reflect more, get a dream journal. That can be really helpful. And be present with what's going on with your grandparents right now because it's very important, especially your grandma for whatever reason, because Jupiter and Neptune in opposition to your sun, your moon, it's all about your grandmother. Okay? And that will open the door for new views when it comes to relationships for you. Fingers crossed, hope they get better, sending you good vibes. And I would say with Neptune in opposition to your moon, you're so emotional. Allow yourself to be emotional. It's okay for you to be emotional. If you need a reading, let me know. I'm always happy to help you. Okay, so let's kind of pop on over. Let's go back to Madison. Oh no, we just spoke to Madison. Take that back. Now we're going to, we had Amber, so we've got Nancy. Sun in Virgo, Moon in Leo, Ascendant Pisces for my solar return coming up. Will I be entering into a healthy relationship? Let's see, Amber, did you send me that info? Thanks, MK. Hopefully that's helpful. Nancy, I saw your PayPal. I'm pulling up your info. I don't have your info, so Nancy, send it to me if you want. Otherwise, I can go off of what you told me. Looks like we got one more person added to the queue. Okay. So, Sun in Virgo, Moon in Leo. So your moon then is in your first, second house, solar return coming up. Will it be entering a healthy relationship? There we go. Thank you, Nancy. Appreciate it. Oh, Nancy, you should hook up with Lucas. You guys are super compatible. 9583. Let's plug in your info. Lucas, I'm being your wingman. I am your wingman right now, Lucas. Are you here with me? 7:45 p.m. Houston. We got a lot of Texans. What's up with Texas? Is everything really bigger in Texas? Let me know. Houston. And you said you're in Spring, Texas. You asked about your solar return. So we will do something there. Spring, Texas. Whatever, Lucas, whatever you need. Maybe she can be your wingman. Okay, so this looks like it's your solar return for 2021 for you, Nancy. Lucas, I know plenty of gay boys. I'll help you. Taurus rising, North Node in the first, South Node in the 7th. So you're asking questions about relationships. One thing that I will tell you is that in this chart, it's being heavily aspected with the eclipse that's going to be conjunct your ascendant. So when I see a solar return chart when it's being triggered by the eclipses, pay attention, because 25, 26 degrees, that's the one that's coming in November. 5 degrees of Sag, that's the one that we just had recently, so it's definitely going to pan out. To me, South Node in the 7th is a clearing. So you're clearing something out. Nancy, here's something I will tell you though. The Sun, Mars, and Mercury sit in the 5th, so it's about being authentic, being yourself, feeling comfortable being yourself, being communicative about who you really are. Sun, Mars, Mercury can be a year where you're going on more dates, you fall in love again, you start thinking about home, family, children. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but when the 5th house is being lit up with the ruler of the 4th, it makes me wonder, are you hoping for any of these things? Are you trying to find your true love? Are you trying to get married? Trying to have kids? Let me know. But Venus is the star of the show, and Venus is in Libra, and it is in conjunct or quincunx your ascendant, which means you're going to get to Libra season. You're going to look at things and go, what do I need to change about the way that I see relationships? What am I clearing out? What am I making time for? Do I have time for dating, right? It makes a sextile to the moon, so that's kind of yummy because it's opening everything up for you, pertaining to being able to kind of really talk about needing to bring in relationships that are going to feel valuable and somebody who's willing to do the work, right? So a 5th house year is awesome for you to start thinking about all of this stuff. I imagine because Mars rules the 7th and it's located in the 5th, Virgo season and Sag season is your best time when it comes to going on dates. The 5th house is like going out and doing shit. The 5th house is like going on dates, but it's going to bars and it's doing things like that. It's also in Virgo, which means you might meet somebody through a coworker. You can go out to drinks and do friends with coworkers. You might meet someone. This can also be a time where you get set up by somebody, and yeah, you're kind of picky with these planets in the 5th, but I think that it's not a bad thing because, you know, it's all trining Pluto in the 9th ceremonies. So there's some aspect of being like, I really want a relationship, but it's not so much about marriage. It's about somebody who works with who you really are, right? North Node in the 1st. So communicating and expressing what you're looking for, is really, really, really important. And I also feel like with the moon in a sextile to Venus, it's really expanding how you communicate and share with people. Can relationships happen? Absolutely. But it's more about emphasizing the relationship with yourself. You know, the eclipse will be on your ascendant. It's clearing out the 7th house. So it's clearing out old relationships, people who you've been with, things that you thought might have worked. It's like, let it all go. That's the vibe I get. Saturn's at a 7 in your midheaven. Jupiter squares your ascendant and your descendant, ruler of the 8th. So definitely a change in status, a change in relationships, a change in work and career. That might be really kind of panning out more so February, March of next year. I definitely think it's possible. And I think that because Mars is in positive aspects to Pluto, you might meet somebody, but they might be culturally different than you, or they might have a different background or a belief system than you, which is totally fine. It's more about finding somebody who's going to resonate with your beliefs. So I definitely think that's possible. And with a heavy 5th house, it's like, if your MO is like, hey, I'm trying to get pregnant, I want to have kids, I want to have a family, I would say with the sextile from Mars and the Sun to, you know, what's happening with like all of these aspects that you have, both in Libra and also the trines that you have to Uranus, you need to come out with it and you need to talk about it. So you're dating with purpose. But the 5th house that's loaded is like great for like falling in love and finding somebody. So being authentic, like the 5th house is like, don't be afraid to be yourself. Don't pick yourself apart. Don't feel like you need to analyze things too much. Just be you. And you want to find somebody who's going to resonate with that. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Nancy. I'm excited. A 5th house year is so much fun. There's definitely like lots of like dating and sex and things get really good. And, you know, if you have a natal Pisces ascendant, you know, you've got Jupiter on your ascendant, and it's going to start making aspects to Taurus and also to Scorpio. So it can open all of that up, but you need to communicate what it is that you want, what your heart wants. So important. All right, so it was Nancy. Just want to make sure. I think I'm caught up. Do I have everybody? If I miss somebody, let me know. But I think I have everyone. I'm updating this. Give me a second. So let's see. I did get a payment from Malika. Malika, are you here? Do you have a question for me? Is there a Malika in the house? Let me know. This is the final call. Otherwise, I'm going to sign off pretty soon. It's been fun. It's been a fun 2 hours with you guys. All of my members, thank you guys. Everybody who subscribe and support the channel. People who just hang out and watch, man. Thank you guys. This is really interesting. It's been a good time. Just booked a reading with me. I look forward to talking to you. I've seen you a couple times, so thanks for getting on my schedule. Nancy, let me know. Let me know if those babies show up. Get active. Hang out in bars. Meet people. Be yourself. Go out and have a good time. Lucas, it was nice to see you. It's nice to see everybody. Thank you guys for joining me. I think I got everybody. If I missed you, please let me know. But I'm pretty sure that I'm caught up on everything. Thanks for supporting the channel. Thanks for checking in. Stay tuned. Monday, I'm going to be back. I'm going to be doing a live. And I promise you, I have a video coming that's going to be about America's chart. So I did kind of like a entry level thing on the podcast that's going to come out on Monday about America's chart. But I want to sit down and really nerd out and spend a lot of time and talk about what I see coming from for America. We've got a Neptune opposition. We've got a Pluto return. We've got some Saturn stuff that's going on. So there's a lot of things that are coming for America. And a lot of people have asked me, because I have taken a break from my political videos, but I feel like coming back and causing a stir and creating a ruckus. So I look forward to doing that, and also doing a cryptocurrency video and some market videos coming soon too. So stay tuned for that. I'm trying to create some new content. If you like my readings, check out my links below. Check out my website, beyondtheveiltarot.com. Get on my schedule. You can make an appointment with me. I'm so happy to be able to be available for new clients and people. I'm usually booked out anywhere from 6 to 10 weeks at a time. I've got some openings in September. If you do want to see me, I'm more than happy. I'm taking new clients, natal charts, synastry, transits. I am also doing one question offers. It's a combination of tarot and astrology and what I see intuitively. So if you vibe with my style, check it out, book a reading. Otherwise, I will be back really soon, and I appreciate your guys' likes, shares, and your subscribes. You allow this channel to continue to grow. I wouldn't be here without you guys. So thank you all very much. Enjoy your weekend. Have a safe weekend, and I will see all of you guys very soon. Take care.